1, 2.
Order, please. And at this time, I would like for Dr. Miller to do the roll call for us, please.
Good morning, board members.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Miss Frances Boomer,
Here.
Miss Naomi Clark,
Present.
Mr. Victor Dove,
Here.
Mr. Carl Ipop,
Present.
Mr. Brent Manning,
Here.
Miss Kelly Muse,
Here.
Miss Kim Smith. Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you so much. I'd like to welcome everybody here this morning. We're so glad to see all of you out, especially our bright and shiny students today. And at this time, I would like to ask if there are any amendments to the board's agenda.
I just would like to add, I think I forgot to email it. I want us to discuss. I hope we create the formation of the Craven Parental Advisory Group, which will serve such as like a board for community stakeholders that will work closely in collaboration with us.
Okay, so it's been moved and second, we add the parental advisory group to the agenda. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
I have it. Okay, so Dr. Miller, where will we put this on the agenda?
We will add it under the board's work.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to make a motion to make an amendment to public input today to extend the time. So that way we can ensure that all of our stakeholders get an opportunity.
For someone to second that. Second. Okay, it has been moved and second that we will extend the public input to an hour or to everybody finish. How many do we have signed up? Okay, an hour would be sufficient. All right, so we will extend the public input to an hour today. In favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
That we would do that.
Chairman Boomer,
Yes, sir.
I regret to say that I'll need to leave at 1 o'clock today. I have a meeting in Raleigh this afternoon.
Thank you. I need to leave right with you. I have one too.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we might be through by then. At this time,
Ma'am,
yes, ma'am.
just want to be clear, I agree with Mrs. Mewes' motion, but I want to be clear, this is a one-time only situation. We've extended the time.
And the reason why she said that, because our usual time is 30 minutes, and that's the policy. So we had to vote on this to make this happen.
I said I would remind everyone, please remember to talk into your microphones so that the folks joining us in Zoom land will be able to hear you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's the reason why the vice chair said this is because our policy says 30 minutes. But because I know that some children need to be recognized and they may not be included in that 30 minutes. So we're trying to, we always like to accommodate our students. But this is not we will probably not do this again. It is only for this particular meeting. Okay, thank you. I would like at this time to share with you our vision statement and our mission statement. We envision a public education system that challenges all students as learners and prepares them to imagine and create a successful life, values educators and empowers them to inspire and spark innovation in every student, leads in education and community engagement, and invites all students, their family, and all members of the community to work together to support public education to the benefit of our students, our community, our nation, and our world. Our vision statement is, together with our families and community, Craven County Schools will educate all learners to personal, professional, and civic success through challenging and personalized instruction. And at this time, I would like for our Vice Chair, Ms. Naomi Clark, to do our safety rules and procedures.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With regard to the meeting ground rules, we're going to post and approve the agenda. We're going to listen as an ally. One person speaks at a time. Respect one another. No sidebars. Everyone participates. Stay on task. Start and stop on time. We schedule appropriate breaks. Evaluate at the end of each meeting, and I would ask that either you turn your cell phones off, put them on silent, or vibrate. With regard to the bin item process, if you have something that is not on the agenda, board members, you are to post it at the bulletin board over there where it says bin, and we'll deal with that accordingly. Safety procedures, tornado or fire, left side of the building, you're going to exit out that door and go out to the parking lot. My right side, you're going to exit out the door and you're going to go all the way to the parking lot with regard to there. And Madam Chair, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we ask Brian Gaucho, the board's attorney, to do the invocation for this meeting.
Board members, if you'll please pray with me. Holy God, we humble ourselves and pray to you, yielding our wills to yours and giving ourselves over to your authority. We pray that you would be merciful in your discipline. Search our hearts and melt all hardness you find therein. Liberate us from the bonds of hostility that prevent us from living lives of love and compassion. Inspire us also to humble ourselves and to unite in prayer as a nation. Search the soul of our society and speak into the pain and suffering. Hold us accountable to the countless ways we are inclined to stray from your will. Then silence the voices within and among us which vie for power and strive to eliminate cooperation. Remind us of your desire for mutual and respectful dialogue and our responsibility to respect those with whom you have called us to serve. Call us not to listen for our own counsel, but to hear your own call. Call us when we hasten to judge the differences of opinion, rather than work for the common good. Call us from our own intransigence into your transcendent presence. Your grace be transformed by your spirit. May we serve the people, your people, with kindness and wisdom this day. Your divine name.
Amen.
At this time, I'd like for everybody to please stand and join Ms. Co-chair for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I would like to recognize the Principal of the Year, Ms. Stacy Freeble, and also our Teacher of the Year, Arnita Morris. They're here today for our advisory board. We are so thankful for the work that they do for us. And at this time, I ask Ms. Naomi Clark if there are any participants for the public input.
Yes, ma'am. There are 10. As already noted, you have 5 minutes. There will be a timer. And the first person is Patty Mason.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to address the board. My name is Patty Mason. I live at 120 Coil Woods Drive, New Bern, North Carolina, 28560. As you know, I'm part of a group and we're looking to work with you all for community-based solutions to address some of the issues in our school system. And we'd like to, and I have 3 questions that we would like your assistance on and a suggestion. The first one is we'd like a definitive stance from the board on their position for CRT, social emotional learning, and diversity, equity, and inclusion in our curriculum. There were webinars on the 17th and 19th of May and March that 4 Bridgeton Elementary School personnel attended. SEL is the set of soft skills students use to manage emotions and behavior. North Carolina uses CASEL as a state recommended curricula for SEI. CASEL is the controversial program that has been criticized for its political
large number. According to the standards of educators who are principals, there are 8 standards of leadership. They may take up only one line in when you look them up, but they may deal with months and months of effort. And I'd like to know how that is dealt with. For example, strategic leadership, create a school improvement plan, align the curriculum with the state program. Now, are these mandates or suggestions? Can they be looked over or really focused on? Managerial, monitors the school budget and include all teachers in the process. Cultural leadership, promote visible support for traditions and values of the school and the community. We cannot forget those who are supportive of this system. They may not have children in the school, but they should be aware and know what is going on. Human resources, hire new teachers and mentor them. These are all what the role is, and I'm barely touching on them. Executive, build a trusting, transparent environment. Now, these are samples, but when you go to look at the details, make accurate monthly and annual reports to the superintendent and the board. Fire drills with the Commissioner of Insurance, the superintendent, and the state board. Discipline students, protect school property, make available school budgets and school improvement plans to parents of children. This is important. Is that being done? Okay. Evaluate licensed employees and develop mandatory improvement plans. When you look at this, I think principals deserve a pat on the back, but I would like to know how they are assessed, when they are evaluated, and how can the superintendent do this with 25 of them. So that's that part of my issue. I'd like to do one more thing while I have 2 minutes left. Kindergarten and pre-kindergarten. Apparently, there's been some issues with that because the children had not had the exposure over the last year. They've seen masks on people, their family, themselves. They've seen perhaps stress in the family, and they come to school unprepared. There've been accounts over the past year that these are the main problems: hard time making friends, inability to focus, poor behavior, and not wanting to attend school at all. I don't know if that has been a problem in Craven County schools. I don't know that, but if it has, what is being done? For example, are teachers trained before school starts to use the best approach towards the issues that are going to face? Every child is different. Every child comes with different problems. Is there a preschool orientation and a walkthrough, including the students and their parents, just to see where they're going to be? Are there suggestions to parents of things to do at home to prepare a student for school in September or August, as the case may be? I'm in the South now. Bedtime, getting some structure in the family. You can't say the night before school, well, you have to be in bed at 8 when they've been staying up until 9:30 all summer. Things that would help the parents adjust to that as well. Introducing some structure to the day. But in the meantime, do teachers have a mentor to guide them through this? And I don't mean the teacher across the hall or next door. I mean a true support staff advisor to help them, especially new teachers. And do the teachers have a chance to get together during the school day to meet and share thoughts? And I have 1 second left. Thank you.
Can we get a copy of that, please?
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you.
The next person is Glenn Fink.
Okay, Glenn Fink, 646 Goose Creek Road, and I thank you for feedback on my last month's input. First topic is making proud choices. The board's only defense for keeping this program and that feedback was based on student input. Program participation is a parent guardian decision, not the student. In addition, I was told by Duke administrator, the Craven County teachers present during these sessions, even if we determine this to be a lie, students have a safe place. Let's see, I lost my place. Even this term, students have a safe space with, quote, trusted adult, end quote, from Duke is not comforting based on the concerns I've identified. Based on NC statute, this board's directly accountable for any of those type of programs. This program should be canceled, but I understand you'll be voting on opt-in versus opt-out. I request each of you to vote for opt-in. The communications to parent and guardians cannot be limited to the promotional material by Duke, such as what was included in today's agenda. Parents deserve the whole story behind this program before making decisions. At a minimum, the program requirement of, quote, resources for teens Duke Teen Health Club, unquote, must be provided, especially given this resource list is described by them as a list of good websites for young people. These websites give real answers and factual information from trained educators and professionals, end quote. CRT. I understand this administration and board was informed about findings of a report by the watchdog group No Left Turn in Education titled North Carolina's Racializes Preschool Educator Professional Development. I must share the condensed report conclusion. In short, NCDPI and Frank Porter Graham used federal funds to bring critical race theory to disabled preschool children, denied the materials were based in CRT, and attempted to hide evidence so the contract would be approved by the NC State Board of Education, end quote. I hear some are pointing to Dr. Doyle's fingerprints for Craven County's involvement in this program. I just say stop. Craven County Schools application was still pending in August of last year. And that was based on a letter from ECP preschool coordinator. Everybody knows there's a 212-page report. There's a lot of information out there. In this same time period, I asked administration if Craven County is pursuing any type of activities related to CRT, and the answer was emphatically no. Likewise, I shared concerns with CRT with this board, and the response was complete denial of any of that stuff going on. I understand this program has been stopped, but why? Is it only because it was brought to light and the school year ended, or is there some other, is there real teeth behind making a change? I've pushed for policies to ensure CRT type instruction is kept out of our schools. No one should be able to engage with third parties without rigorous vetting and approval by the board. This is a big deal and that requires a full, transparent investigation. We must understand and document how it happened and take actions to ensure it never happens again. Fidelity starts with you. I've got a book that I'm going to leave that hopefully this board will take a look at. This book is American Story by David and Tim Barton, Wall Builders. The book exhorts the contribution of Black men and women in the founding and development of our nation. It also provides details on the history of slavery in America. This book is sourced, referenced beyond anything I've ever seen. Probably 20% of the print is that book is in sourcing. Since tools such as 1619 Project are driving CRT efforts, I hope you will read and pass this through the board and senior administration to learn accurate history of our founding fathers and subsequent American leaders. Gender identity. A part of this report that was earlier mentioned, there was tension called to NCDPI slides regarding collaborative conference for student achievement. Sounds great, right? The slides available are all related to gender dysphoria with an emphasis on transgender. Data shows the current trend of more people selecting transgender is not a natural phenomenon. These decisions are highly correlated to social influence. More liberal areas have a higher selection of transgender. New York's 3%, Wyoming's 0.6%. Any person or system that promotes transgender to children under age 18 is participating in child abuse. You do not have to perform a lot of in-depth research to see the irreversible damage this can happen.
Next person would be Heather McManus. Good morning.
Good morning.
Pass the books out to you. You can come around the front. So I would like to start by thanking you all and the central office staff very much for providing links to academic programs that our students can utilize throughout the summer to help bridge any learning gaps and hopefully prevent any more learning loss. I hope the district continues to share these links throughout the summer to help remind parents, caregivers, and students of these tools and how they can have a positive impact on reading, writing, and arithmetic success. Most of all, I hope these tools, when utilized, to have a tangibly positive impact on our students and in our classrooms. So if you recall at the end of the email that I sent you all recently informing you about the situation that our EC preschool teachers endured at the behest of NCDPI and CELN in conjunction with UNC and while Dr. Doyle was our superintendent. I asked you all to formulate and implement a policy that forbids any kind of racist indoctrination from happening again to any teachers or students in Craven County schools or be a part of any part of our curriculum, personal development, or training. It is imperative that our teachers know they have parents, administrators, central office staff, a superintendent, and a board of education that has their backs and believes in them and their ability to do the job they were hired to do and do that with autonomy. Implementing a policy like that should ensure that they know that to be true. In looking at the disciplinary infraction slides that will be presented later on today, there were a few things that stuck out to me. Reporting the number of disciplinary infractions without reporting the number of infractions per student seems like incomplete reporting. Obviously, the names of students should be protected, but having a breakdown in the form of student A committed just 32 infractions, for example, student B committed 17 infractions, would provide a much more clear understanding of the occurrences of infractions or how they're broken down. Also, how is it that some schools have nearly the same number of incidents as they do suspensions, and other schools have 2 to 3 times the number of incidents as they have suspensions? One can infer that the actual number of incidents occurring are not being reported and or disciplined until the incident occurring is a suspendable offense. Number 3, how is it that some schools that report high numbers of infractions feed other schools and they somehow have a lower number of reported infractions? It's well established that children, as they go into middle school, are more apt or likely to earn disciplinary infractions. My own child included. He had 3 last year. And it took me telling him that he was going to have to stand up in front of his class and apologize to his teacher and his class for interrupting their learning. I think that parents need to maybe get a little bit tougher on their children, and our teachers need to know that parents have their back. I also didn't notice any reporting of disciplinary infractions at Aspire, and I wasn't sure why that was. And then how many of our low performing schools have either a low or a high number of disciplinary infractions, and is there a correlation there? Also missing from the discipline data is the online, I can't even think of the words right now, sorry, it lost me. But what kind of online disciplinary problems are we having? Online bullying and things like that. That is not broken down. It's not one of the categories. Another thing that's missing is what else is happening besides the mischief and the consequences? Are students with repeat disciplinary infractions being coached on strategies the student can use to cope or deal with the root cause of their disciplinary infractions? Administrators and teachers should not have the number of disciplinary infractions alone from their school held against them, or made a part of their performance evaluations or used in a board meeting as a segue to the addition of any employment position unless there is a security risk or more security is needed to ensure the safety of students and staff, or student support staff is needed to meet the special needs of students. If administrators are held to account solely on the number of disciplinary infractions at their school, there is a higher likelihood that they will feel pressured to not formally discipline students, so their school's disciplinary infraction numbers aren't singled out as the highest or make them look like they have a quote unquote bad school. If an administration stops formally disciplining students to not look bad, there will be a major breakdown in the relationship between teachers and administrators, which is crucial for the safety and success of students. Thank you. And I will print this out. I just didn't have time. I'm sorry. Thank you. You're welcome.
Our next speaker. Jamisha Harris. Jamisha Harris.
Good morning,
Good morning.
members of the board. My name is Janisha Harris. I live at 222 Monterey Circle, New Bern, North Carolina. I gather myself today, listening to some of the information that came before me, but I'm here today because I'm concerned about our school district numbers pertaining to North Carolina Teacher Working Conditions Survey. So in the survey on question 7.2, it was very alarming because question D said there is an atmosphere of trust and mutual respect within the district. The state rated at 72%, but our district rated at 55.36%. That means 44.64% don't feel they are working in a trusted atmosphere or that they have mutual respect from the leadership. You're the leadership. And I'm gonna say it again, that's 44.64%. Now, some may know me, some may not, and that's okay. I am an elected official for the city of New Bern, so I know what it is to be a leader and sit on the board and have a responsibility. I know what it is to have accountability, integrity, transparency. And I'm also a community leader. I'm an advocate, and people come to me, whether they are current teachers or principals or former or parents. And I come here and I speak. And not only do I represent voices that can, I represent silent voices, and that's the children that are affected when there's unreadiness on this board, whether it's when we see the meeting or when we have sitting board members that have access to admin passwords on a Facebook page that creates divisiveness. It's racially charged, and it's concerning because there's false rumors and information that's put out on this Facebook. And I feel it's your responsibility as a board to find out who's running that page, because it's being said that there are sitting teachers that are behind that page. I have a problem as a parent that if there's a sitting teacher that has access to a Facebook page that talks about racial issues that are not in a positive light where we all come together, that's a problem. Because I want to know what teacher is teaching my child. So I took some time and I wanted to just express some things that I had that's very frustrating to me, because teachers and principals and staff that I'm aware of, that I speak to, they don't feel comfortable to be able to come or speak to their leadership about the issues that they have, but some have by name. They have expressed that are sitting board members that have harassed them. You have documentation, I know, for it, and I'm going to be submitting a FOIA request when I do leave here. We have a sitting board member that has a history of simple assault, communicating threats, harassing. There's a sitting board member.
I'm moving for a recess, Madam Chair, in order for us to consult with our attorney.
Okay, can I finish what I'm saying? Because when
There's a
some,
motion on the floor. I defer to Mr. Gatcho. There a second?
Is there a second?
Thank you.
the issue is that there's a spirit of unreadiness in our school system, and the only people that are affected are the children. You have principals that are not getting the resources that they need to be successful in their positions. And when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, it's always a problem. I'm a mother, I'm mixed. I was raised by a white woman, but I have 3 Black children. So yes, I would like for there to be the truth in diversity, equity, and through the school system. I came here 2 years ago when Doyle was still here and complained about the lack of diversity in this school system. The major point is that you guys swear under oath. It is your obligation to hold each other accountable and to do the duties that you need to do. When you look at what it says here, value educators and to empower them and inspire them. That's not happening if only 55% of in this district feel that that they can trust you. We have African-American students that comprise of 26% of the total school population, but 52% have been suspended. How are my children being taught if they're being suspended? It's unreadiness, and you guys need to be held accountable for not handling this board member and the things that they do outside of the school district.
Will you get a copy of that to her, please? We have what you said, we have this, but not everything that you said is up here. So we don't know how to respond. Okay, thank you.
Apologize, I left off with the lap. Sorry, Mrs. Black.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here today to speak to 2 issues. The first is the chief of school support that I believe Mr. Dove has introduced and supported. As I understand it, the duties of this person includes, but is not limited to, overseeing the management as it is related to culture and school achievement, assistant directors and coordinators by monitoring the performance of schools, mentoring and coaching principals. Don't we already have those positions? We have beginning teacher mentors. We have teacher observations. We have learning system coaches. This position is redundant. Our board members are responsible for the performance of the schools. We have you and the superintendent to monitor the principals. We have principal meetings once or twice a month, as well as assistant principal meetings once or twice a month, which is monitoring the principals. Board members often visit schools. There's input at the principal meetings, and the principals are also have observations just like students do. Already having a cut in the budget by the commissioners, as you look and plan the budget for next year, you have to look at the cost of fuel for the buses as it continues to rise, and we don't know where or when the price will level out. Sitting in the West Craven Middle School carpool pickup line this year, I've had the opportunity to speak to several parents who have said, my child's going to have to ride the bus next year because I cannot afford 2 trips to the middle school. And I hope you realize that the western end of the county is so vast that making 1 trip is a problem. making 2 trips is another problem. It just compounds the program. So I know you have a contract for gas for this year, but to get a contract for gas next year, when the buses might be fuller and have to run longer routes, good luck with that. The free lunch program for all students ends this year. I believe it ends at the end of this month. And I pray that there will be money to help child nutrition to provide decent lunches for students. Unlike the previous 2 years when school lunches were whatever, we didn't even know what they were. I went out and ate to eat one day and I would not eat it. It was horrible. And the students deserve better. For some students, that's the only healthy meal they get during the day. And with the price of food increasing, I hope that child nutrition will be another big budget item. I do not believe this county can afford, nor does it warrant, this new position. To fund this new position, along with health care, retirement, health benefits, added to the base salary, would be a slap in the face to parents and teachers who are desperately having to pull out of their own pocket to fund their classrooms, when that money could be spent wisely on something that is not redundant. My second concern is substitutes and teachers. Exactly what are the requirements for subs? My granddaughter has spent her entire 6th and 7th grade year with 1 certified teacher. The rest were substitutes. One of those subs was only 20 years old, and on many days, she showed students in her class videos of fights taking place while this substitute was in the feeding high school 2 years ago. Again, money will be needed to recruit and keep qualified teachers. It appears it will be another year of substitutes, and that is not acceptable. Taking into account all the vacancies across the county, not only will there be a shortage. Oh, can I go?
You can leave that.
Don't go on me.
No.
Well, I have something really important I want to say. I think our board should follow counties across the state and across the nation. That sub one day in the storm.
Next person is Beth Bell.
Good morning. I will try to be brief. My students will tell you that is not my strong suit. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Beth Bell. I'm the instructor for the EMR EMT Academy at New Bern High School. I'm also a paramedic, worked in EMS for about 24 years. This morning, as the year closes, I wanted to close on a high note. We've done a lot of struggling this year and over the past several years. And I want to recognize the impressive achievement of some of our young adults. Because of COVID, the EMT Academy kind of got put on hold for the better part of 2.5 to 3 years. They weren't able to certify. This year, when we started our CTE meeting, I was given a little Jenga block, and I was told to write what my goals were for my students. On one side, I wrote clinicals. The other side, I wrote certification. It sat on my desk all year. And I looked at it a lot as I got really stressed out, tired, and the kids as well, to kind of remind us of what our goals were. For our kids, the EMT class is a little bit different than most of the CTE courses, because in addition to all the DPI requirements, these students have to meet the same requirements that any other emergency medical responder or EMT has to meet, set forth by North Carolina Office of Emergency Medical Services. The list is significant. In addition to their coursework of 260 hours, where they learn everything from anatomy and physiology and ethics, disaster management, of course, the ability to care for any emergency that happens to come into the 911 center. They also have to meet all of these additional requirements. Some of those include 48 hours of clinical ride time on an ambulance or in the hospital that they do on their own time. That is not a part of the course. They have to do that on their own time. They have to attend at least 10 actual 911 calls and care for 10 patients that are having an emergency at that time. They have 60 clinical skills that they have to master, and they have to perform them for me or another OEMS instructor. That's pretty intimidating, especially for a high school student. And they learn everything from airway management to any of these kids you see behind us, I'm sorry, adults, can deliver a baby. So if anyone has any ideas this morning, they're here for you. They have to, they have to pass a 150 question comprehensive exam just to qualify to test. They also have to, what I would bet would be the most concerning for them all year, was they had to pass what we call oral boards or technical scope of practice, where they get bare minimum information. They have to figure out what's wrong, and they have to stand in front of everybody else and tell how they're going to take care of that patient. It's extremely impressive. And I'd like to mention they have to maintain an 80 or higher, not only in this class, but also on every assessment that they had to take. So it's a significant achievement. These young adults work so hard. When I tell you at the end of the year, when they were preparing for graduation, they asked to come in and have study sessions. They set up their own study sessions. They even came in over the Memorial Day break into school. And we had several study sessions. So for these guys, it's just so impressive what they've done. This EMT test has historically a 30% pass rate the first time, 70% overall. 100% of our students that tested passed the EMT test. 95% of the EMR students passed. So what they've done, this is by far the most impressive group of kids I've ever had. And I'd like to just take a minute to recognize them. A lot of our students are actually at orientation. But we have also 3 that are currently working as EMTs in camps, 2 that are working for transport services. And I was contacted by Carteret County, who, based on their reputation, are willing to hire them fresh out of EMT school, which is unheard of. So our EMRs that certified, when I call your name, if I call your name, stand up, or I won't call your name, but just kind of raise your hand. Allison Lizarazo, EMR. Along with Kyla Bryce, Lauren Heath, Carter Starkweather, Berkeley Daffin, and Jason Morrow. And then our EMTs, Filippo Perry, Marina Daw, Jeremiah Davenport, Samantha Clark, Alicia Carrington, Caitlin Darris, Ariana Vasquez, Emily Campbell, my very own Sydney Food, and a special mention to Colton Woods, who is the first junior to ever complete all of the requirements and graduate. You guys make my job fun and easy, and I really do not know what I'll do without you next year, so you better come back and say hi. Encourage the newest group. Thank you, guys.
Can I say something? I can't let her sit down without mentioning how impressed and touched I am right now, but as we are commending these.
You can't say anything right now. No.
No,
Well, Michael Epps. Well, thank you.
That's amazing.
Michael Epps.
You guys, but if you'd like to stay and listen to the rest of the meeting.
I don't think so.
Morning. Good morning. I am still Michelle Epps from last fall. I had to take a break there.
I apologize.
Can you hear me? My name is Michelle Epps. I'm from here in New Bern. I live downtown. And I spoke last fall. I came in and spoke on masks, tests, quarantining, and the dangers thereof. I was here at most of these meetings and also the Tuesday work sessions. I was at the work session when you guys had a presentation on how learning objectives were down across all ages, or all grades, all subjects, all schools, which was quite concerning. And I came to you to speak on those subjects because of my background with acute clearance in managing and working as a funding specialist in NIH research, including the development of DARPA bioweapons, human genome project, nanotechnology projects, things like that. But I also wanted to address something else, and it's related, but it's based on the other side of my career. I was a 5th generation educator with 30 years plus in education and educational administration. I was a certified adult education specialist, a human resources program manager, a director of adult education. I directed an Office of Research and Sponsored Projects at a major university. My expertise was always in special populations, often either students of lower socioeconomic means or also students of assorted disabilities. Those tended to be my specialty areas. The very last position that I held was research coordinator for Illinois State University's Center for Specialized Professional Support. It was a special center within the university to provide professional development to the administrators and educators. Very similar to this new position, the chief of school support would be very much aligned with that last position I did. As research coordinator, it was my job to research best practices and present those to educators throughout the state of Illinois, and we were specifically focused on community colleges. Now I've found that I just learned that there is a proposed new position at $100,000+ a year for a chief of school support, which reading I was a human resources professional as well in some of those positions. And at Los Alamos National Lab, I was a human resource person for a while with special programs, special populations. I was specially educated for equity issues. Back then we called it AAEEO. I'm not sure what the current verbiage is. So you're right in my wheelhouse with this. And what I would like to say is this may well be a great idea, but it seems very, very premature to me. I don't know, maybe a lot has been done to address the learning objective problems that aren't being met, but it seems to me that the priority here should be the children. You folks are in support of the children. The children are the ones now we're finding out what I was warning about in the fall. We're getting reports back now of the problems that have been caused by masks, tests, quarantining, vaccines. It's coming in. There will be liability suits in many arenas based on this stuff. So my question is, why are we focusing on this position now? I can't speak, but others have, about whether or not it's needed specifically here in this location. I certainly supporting our administrators, but believe me, the children are the one who were least affected by the COVID pandemic, but most affected by the procedures to remediate supposed COVID problems, okay? You folks and the administrators and the teachers, as much as I love teachers, I was a teacher, I'm a 5th generation teacher, but you were the administrators of the measures that now have become problems. I'm not saying this was done on purpose. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be more appropriate to address the known problems now with children physically and mentally? We have many school systems that are adding positions for counseling children, not helping the administrators with that. The job support even said your emotional, problems as well as professional support. I think we need to focus on the children here first. I think money needs to be spent on new positions for them, if anything. I don't know that that's necessary. You guys can decide that. But also, you better be putting some money aside for liability. There is no protection here. These medical procedures violated the Nuremberg codes. There will be consequences, so please protect yourselves. Thank you.
Next person is Sharon. I'm going to butcher your name, so please forgive me, Bukakis.
My name is Sharon Hawkes. I live in the Riverside Historic District on North Craven Street. Don't feel bad. We've been going to the same church for 36 years. They still can't pronounce my name right.
How do you say it, man?
Bahakis.
Bukakis. Thank you.
I only have one question. When someone poses a question and I do not know the answer, I say, well, I will find out. And my question is, how much of the school budget, what percentage of the school budget is coming from the federal government? That was my question.
Last speaker is Mary Campbell.
How you doing?
How are you?
I'm Mary Campbell from Mansboro. Now, I don't have a particular problem or issue because I don't know exactly the particular problem that's with Craven County School. What I'm gonna address is things that's happening worldwide that relate also to Craven County School. Like, I want to know, why do we come up with fancy words like critical race theory? Why don't we just call it history, good, bad, and ugly? That's all it is. You know, if it's okay for you to learn one part, why should you keep the other people from knowing? Just like Juneteenth, that happened years ago, 40 years ago, and we just found it out in the last couple of 2 or 3 years. That's crazy. You know, history is what it is, and we need to know history. Just like I said, the good, bad, and the ugly, because if you don't, history is going to repeat itself. Okay, the next thing is, you look at all the shootings and the different things that's happening in the schools. Okay, we need to be concentrating to make sure that don't happen here. It haven't happened yet, but that don't mean it won't. It's happening already in Greenville. Look how close that is to you. Okay, so we need to go ahead and put in budgets like things like, you know how you go to the airport, or when you go to the hospital, they got no metal detectors you got to go through. Why don't you, when the children, students, staff, and everything coming in, have one entrance where everybody come in? Or get two, one for the staff and one for the student. Put that in your budget. That way, you can already warn off if somebody got knives, gun, or whatever. You got resource officers. Okay, your resource officer don't need to just sit in the school by the principal's office and just look at things. Okay, you got the people with the sheriff department that have dogs and stuff. What does it hurt for to just bring the dog in to walk through every school once a week? Oh, don't announce when it's coming through. If you want to find out if it's drugs there, you gotta pick it up. You already know the locker number, you already know this. So if you really want to make students safe, you got to stop pretending you want them safe and really do things, put things in place to make them safe. And that's basically all I have to say. You know, I don't know, just like I said, the particulars that's going on with this school, but I'm looking at worldwide things. The next, oh, one more thing, addressing bullies. We had, according to the news, we have teachers in other schools and things that was the bullies themselves, you know, telling a child, if it wasn't for the Constitution, you would be my field slave, or stupid stuff like that. And you just suspend them. No, you take their license. They don't need to teach nobody. The next thing is, you know, you don't put people on the spot and let these educators get away with saying stuff and no consequences in reference to that. Don't fix it so that they can go from this school to the next school. And in reference to talking about children learning sex education, nobody wants to hear them particularly talk about gays and this and that and all that stuff. You know, they see that on TV, they learn it from home, they learn it from all this stuff. But the thing is, you got to teach them, no matter what the age is, about sex and people, strangers, and people touching them. They got a man right now locked up on a $8 million bond for molesting his own household. So, you know, you got to tell these children something. You don't have to tell them the particulars of what adults do. You just warn them of what they need to be careful and be watchful for. And so that's basically all I have to say.
Madam Chair, that concludes our public input.
The issues that you have brought to our attention. And at this time, we're going to take a 10 minutes break. So what? Oh, no, you're good. Yeah. Yeah, but if it's